Welcome back to Good Knit Kisses. I'm your host Kristen, and today we are going to do the Picot Petals. The Picot Petals is a larger flower, and you can use it with the Picot star and put it on top. Just attach it, and you have a nice three-dimensional flower. Here's a set right here, and this is not attached just yet, but it will be. And this is actually 2 strands of a worsted weight, and these are just actually 2 different colors of balls of yarn. They were scrap. This is not really colors that I would normally put together, but they're not bad. So you could take those. You could take those and button them on or sew them on to embellish your different knitwears. And this is a way to get around not crocheting a flower. So we'll get started on the tutorial. Okay, to get started, we're going to mark our loom, and I've taken out all of the odd numbered pegs and switched them out with a contrasting color. You can also mark your loom with tape or stitch markers, and we're going to do a new drawstring method. It's called a reduced drawstring, and it's based upon the modified drawstring. And I made it because my first one looked like this. See this little hole? It's a large hole. It's bigger than my thumb. I need to trim that off, but anyway, it's too bulky to actually close, and I've tested in other yarns and it does the same thing. So I've done this reduced drawstring, and it makes it close all the way. And I'll show you a little bit about what I mean. This one has 2 strands and done in the other fashion, and when you start pulling the drawstring together, it doesn't go as flat and nice, and still leaves a little hole. So if you like the hole, just do the regular modified drawstring. Okay. All right, we're going to start with the slip knot. Pick up your loom, take it from the top side down. Okay. And now we're going to go around every other peg, but only the ones that are marked in yellow. So kind of zero in your eyes here. So we're going to go around the second to last marked peg. Okay, so this is going to be all your odd numbered ones. Okay, we're going to go around that one. Every time you see a blue, I want you to go behind it or skipping it. Okay, so we're going in front of number 1, and it's the only time I'm going to do these 2 in a row. And now I'm going to skip every other one. So in front of, skip, and then in front of, marked, and then behind the next mark, and then in front of the next mark, behind the next marked, in front of, marked, behind, marked. See how there's 3 empty in front? See that? Okay, and then behind, and then in front, and then we're going to go behind. Okay, and then here is where we're going to do something a little different. This last peg, just like on the modified drawstring, you actually want to double up and put them in front of it as well. So this is one of the few places that it's kind of goofy like that. So now we're going to go all the way around the loom, and like in the modified drawstring, you go all the way around, except we're still going to skip all these blue pegs. So I want you to go behind all the blue pegs and just weave. Okay. Because technically, this is only going around every single, what I'm calling a marked peg. So you're really only going to be knitting over 12 pegs. Okay, now we've come around to the front side, and you'll see that there are 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top, and those 2 can now get knit over on this last peg here. Well, it's peg 23. Okay, and so now we want to go all the way around the loom and knitting over. And you see every other one has 2 loops on it. So like this one only has it in the front, and so you're not going to knit over. This one has 2. Knit that over. Okay. So now we have got that all on there, and Okay, we are ready for our first 4 rows, and we're going to do it in a flat knit. We're only going to concentrate on our marked rows, okay, only on our marked pegs, I'm sorry. So concentrate on the marked pegs and do exactly what you just did on the last round of the cast on. We're going to weave around. So we go around, and I'm sorry, it looks like it jumped because I had some technical issues, but once you go all the way around, knit off all these pegs. Okay, so I've actually finished this, and I'm going to continue. Pause your video as needed, but because my video skipped, I have 1 more row of flat knit. So basically pause your video, and you're going to have 4 rows total of the flat knit. Alright, so this is me going around the 4th time for myself, although it looks like I'm on probably number 2 to you. Alright, and once you get a couple of rows in, you can go ahead and take this peg off, this little holding peg, starting peg here, you can pull that off. And when you have these drawstring cast-ons, you tend to have a lot of, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. If you make your tail too long in the middle here, you're going to feel like, wow, I wasted a lot on having a tail. So try and do them as short as you can, just because once you pull this tight, you're going to have a lot of extra yarn for that drawstring. Now you can use that for tying it in to a project, so I mean, no worries on wasted yarn. But if you're really big about making a really long tail, you might kind of wonder why you have an extra yard of material. Okay, so we are done with this one. The next instructions are we're going to flat knit, and then we're going to yarn over. So we are going to, whoops, we're going to flat knit and yarn over, and it's a really tight right now, so you can flat knit and you can do a yarn over in this way, or you can do just a yarn over for the whole thing, just right over in front of every single peg. And I'm just going to do it like that. If you find that it's too tight for you, you can add a little bit in an E-wrap, but you're probably going to get too much bulkiness, so just do a regular yarn over. I'm sorry, just go right in front of it. Don't actually wrap it, because it might put a twist in your work. Okay. And if it's getting to be too much for you, you can pull them back like this after, like pull around all of your marked ones to give it a little slack, like that. And that way your next row is not going to be so tight on you. Ugh. I'm not liking turning it this way. I've started holding my yarn in my left and then kind of creeping it and kind of grabbing it over like this, you know, and that works for me. I used to hold it upside down more, but I seem to have started knitting like this. Okay, this is just one row that we're doing like this. Alright, so now we have our last one, and then we're actually going to move on to doing 2 rows of flat. So the same thing that you've done now, except these are going to start getting knit over. You just wrap your loom around like that and do all these flat knit. Okay, and like I said, if you want to kind of hold it this way, and you can do it that way like a U-wrap. Okay, we're going to bind off in the Picot bind off, and I'm going to probably go too fast for you in this one because I have a Picot star video and it's smaller and you can use the same method, so it's going to seem way too fast, but I just want you to see it again. So check that video out, and that is to get a smaller a smaller star like this. So check out the Pico star video, and there'll be a link here, and just click on this one if you need me to go slower. Okay. All right, and I'll make that go to it'll go to the beginning, right at the beginning of that tutorial. So go ahead and E-wrap around this first peg, and we're gonna pull the loop down, and we're gonna be casting on to the right. Take the loop and flip it, and then we're gonna do that again. And I've split my yarn this other one so it looks really fuzzy. So we're gonna E-wrap this next peg here and go underneath, pull that loop, and flip it, put it on, snug that up, and now we're ready to start our bind off process. Knit this first stitch, and then knit the second one. Gosh, this first one, split yarn. Wow. Okay, so knit that over, and then move the stitch over, work the stitch, move it. Okay, now you've bound off one. That's the first of 4. We're going to knit off this one, move it, take this one, work the stitch. This yarn is not good for this. Okay, now we're going to move it over. You thought it was just you who had trouble. Okay, knit this one. I had some technical difficulties on my film, and then when I did it, I actually hit this, and so I kind of messed up my own project here. Anyway, behind the scenes. Okay, we're going to move this one over. We've been binding these off, so we're doing 4 bind offs. For every 2 pegs, you're going to get 1 picot. So we're going to get 12 picots in this design, and we have to knit we have to have 2 bound offs. But in order to do that, we're cast it on 2 and we bind off 4. Cast on 2, bind off 4 all the way around. So whenever you finish, you want to make sure that the 2 you meant to work are finished. So we're done on that one, and now you have this little picot back here, and we're going to continue. So continue, you're going to, by E-wrapping, pulling that down to make a knit loop. Don't replace it, just take it and flip it and put it on this next stitch. If you don't flip it, it doesn't look quite right. So if it doesn't look like mine, try going back and making sure that you've got this cable cast on correct. Okay, so now I'm back, and it looks like we have all these stitches here, but we don't need to go any further over in this area. Knit this one. Oh. Okay, that's not tight enough. Okay, now knit this one here. Go ahead and knit this one. Move the stitch, work it. Let's bind off 1. Knit that stitch, move it, work it, bind off 2, knit the stitch, move it, bind off 3, knit the stitch, work it, move it, that's bind off 4. And just to double check, you can go back after every one and say, okay, do I have 2, 4? Yes, I've got picots in those. If you keep binding off, you're going to get a gap in between your picots, which is just fine if that's the look you're going for. But if you end up with less than 12 picots, that's what you did. You may have bound off too many stitches. All All right, so I'm just continuing this process. So again, if you need to click on that video for the Picot star and watch that and keep backing it up, go for that. Otherwise, I will meet you back at the end, and we will. I started to do too many. I'll meet you back up at the end of this, and we'll finish it off. See you soon. All right, I've done about half my picots, and I just wanted you to see what it looks like as it's coming off. There's an added cool effect about marking each one of these or every other one. You can see, first of all, that the picots sort of fit in between two pegs, but also notice that once you've passed one of these yellow pegs that you're done. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picots, and once I complete this yellow peg and it looks like I have a full picot, it's time to cast on. So just wanted to give you that quick little tip that I had noticed with this loom marked this way. Okay, pause your video, keep on going. We're on our last one. Got 2 stitches left on the needles, on the pegs. Cast it on 2, knit 1, bind off, bind off 2, that one's bound off. The last one, move that on over, knit that stitch, and go wrap it one more time, and then we're gonna pull it off the loom here. And take your scissors and cut that off. Okay. And then you're going to pull this on through, and then we're going to connect these two, but you're going to wait until we pull the drawstring. So take your drawstring, this open part here where the original slip knot was, and start pulling it together. There we go. So you have this nice drawstring. It's nice and flat. Okay, and if you want to start using this for some of your hat techniques, you could do that, and I think it would work really well. So try that method out on your next one. But go ahead and you'll want to weave that in, tie that off, tie it off, weave it in, and then you're going to take a crochet hook to this one. Go ahead and pull your figure out which stitch looks right for you. It depends. Sometimes it depends on your yarn, I think. But really, you're going to go from up under this picot, probably the stitch right behind, and pull that on through and see how that snugs that up. And then you're just going to end up weaving it through and tying it off. And then if you made the picot star, you can go ahead and attach it and take this yarn here after you've tied this off, and pull it up on through, and use your original cast on string, and then pull it up through here and tie this on to see how that works. And it would be easier to get like a tapestry needle, and then start using your tapestry needle and sew it in. And then once you sew this top part in, then weave it back down, and then you can tie on to your garment or your hat or whatever your knitwear is. So anyway, we're just gonna, if you want to just see doing this as one loop here, I can show you what that looks like. Okay. There we go. So we have our flower. It's nice and bulky and big, and you could try it on other looms that are a smaller gauge with an even number of pegs. And thank you very much for tuning in to Good Knit Kisses. Again, if you need to have the video again on here, watch this again. If you want to check out the Picot star, do that as well. But this has been the Picot Petals tutorial. Thanks for tuning in to Good Knit Kisses. Have a great day and happy looming. Bye-bye.